www.pdcent.com. Hey, so how you doing, Kevin? You alright?
I'm good. Thank you for having me, man.
Much love. So you've come a very long way, man. From the whole street days, the Stockholm days and everything, come a long way. So what's made you change the direction your life was going in general?
I think it's a number of things. I think we're all destined to go a direction. It's if we're strategically going in that direction or we're being dragged in that direction. I think with me, my older brothers had a strategic plan for me from day one.
Right.
You know, from the ages of 7, 8 years old. You know, they made me read certain things. They were teaching me certain things. I was learning things about the G7, the G8. I was learning business, strategic mindset, spirituality.
What age was that?
From about 7, 8 years old.
Wow, G8, 7 years old.
So I had to learn. I remember one of the first things that I had to learn was about the 7 and 8 most powerful countries in the world. What makes them powerful, where they lacked, how they negotiated, how they traded, and so on and so forth. So I remember learning that from 7, 8 years old. You know, and you know, they said this is the mindset of a leader. You have to learn these things, and I was always taught that readers are always leaders, and leaders are always readers. So I had to learn these things from a very early age. So even though, you know, up and down on the street with the guys and stuff, strategically, away from the street, I was learning a new direction of how my life would go.
So you've never given anyone an open interview about your life until now? Why is that?
Good question, brilliant question. Throughout the years, I've been offered interviews from ITV, Channel 4, all these private networks from abroad and so on and so forth, and I've declined every single one of them. I remember when the riots was going on, they asked me to come on TV about it, I declined it. They wanted to do a documentary. When my brother died, they wanted to do a documentary on myself and my family, my brother and so on and so forth. Once again, I've declined every single interview that has ever been presented to me over the last easily 21 years. You know, and now I strategically said, okay, the reason why I'm going to do an interview, when I sat down with my mentors, I sat down with quite a few of my mentors and my team, and you know, we spoke about the directions forward and who I should do an interview with and why. If I'm going to do an interview and you came up, so you're the first person that I decided to interview with. And the reason why is because things has got to a point, especially from a street level. I'm away from the streets now and I'm all over the world and I'm doing my thing. But when my heart's home, my heart is Stockholm Park Estate, my heart is Angeltown, my heart's London, Manchester, Birmingham, all of the places where my people is growing up and moving into a direction that is not going to progress them in any particular way. What would it mean if I know all the things I know and don't start teaching it? Do you understand what I'm saying? You know, so now I've gone around to community centres and I'm helping the youths growing up. I'm mentoring. I mean, over the last 4 or 5 years, I've done mentoring with about 7,000 to 8,000 people behind the scenes. I've never put myself public. It's only like now I'm slightly coming forward. So it's really based upon, I don't want fame. I don't want money from people. When I'm talking to my people on this level, it's about 3 things and 3 things only. It's about helping my people, it's about building my people, and it's about empowering my people.
And that comes to the next question, because it's been said that you've kind of you gave away everything that you owned. Like, what is that true?
Yeah. It's so funny. When I was around 13 years old, I launched my first business.
13.
13 years old, I launched my first business, and I was making more money than my mum and dad at the time. So that was crazy, because imagine you have to be in by 6, but yet you are the major breadwinner in the house. But so what happened was, I learned how to make money very well, very well. 17 years old, I remember buying like my Porsche. I bought my BMW first, and I drove my BMW to the place where I was going to pass my test. And the man looked at me, it was brand new, the man looked at me like, whose car is this? I said, it's mine. He said, you think you're going to pass your test? I said, I know I'm going to pass my test. It was certainty. As soon as I passed my test, I changed the car and I bought a Porsche. Yeah, a Porsche convertible at the time. I remember it was a 911.
Yeah, I remember you the Porsche, yeah.
Yeah, you remember, yeah. So it's funny because when you look back at some of the youths now, and if you look how small they are, 17 years old, imagine like
a Porsche.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, I was making more money than I could even get my head around. I couldn't count the money that I was making 17, 18, 19 years old coming from Stockwell Park Estate. And then it got to a point that just after I think my brother died, I kind of questioned my abilities. You know, am I really that good, or am I just comfortable in the environment that I am? Right. So it was comfortability versus who am I? And I had to challenge who I was. So I gave away my cars, I gave away my jewelry, I gave away, I got rid of my house, and I just gave money to different people and so on and so forth. And everyone actually thought I was mad. Literally, people thought I was going through depression or something. People thought like, this ain't right, this doesn't sound right.
Yeah, something not right here.
Yeah, it's not right here. But I knew what it was. It was about a new level of growth. It was about a new level of power. Yeah. And I realized most of us in life are, I would say, so frightened of who we are if we don't have the jewelry, if we don't have the car. We can't talk to girls. We can't turn up to places with sheer confidence. We can't do anything. So that means, are we governing what we wear, or what we wear governs us? Do you understand what I'm saying? And it got to the point where I said, I need to challenge who I am. And at that time, I became very spiritual. So I looked at life from a whole different perspective. I also understood, from my earlier days of education, I understood science. But science from another level. I understood spirituality from another level, not just basic stuff. I mean, I had some of the most powerful mentors that I would say was in England and certain parts of the world as well. You know, and that needed to be challenged. That growth needed to be challenged. I studied so many different areas of life, business, and mindset that it would have been crazy if I didn't challenge myself enough. So I got rid of everything and I said, right, let me press the reset button and let's start again. Let's really try this game. You know, I gave it all away and it was scary at first.
I could imagine giving all that stuff away that you're used to having, clutching onto, and then saying, right, they can have it. I didn't
realize how much control it had over me. Because, you know, you're wearing diamonds, you're wearing your diamond rings. So when you're talking to I don't know, let's say you're talking to a girl, it sounds very fickle, but you don't realise things. It's just like your fitness. You don't realise how unfit you are until you try to do something. You go for a jog, and you can't even jog halfway around the block, but you don't realise how unfit you are. And just like when it comes to, you know, the things that represents you, your clothes, your car, your jewelry, all these things, you don't realise how much it represents you until you take it off and you say, who am I at the core?
I see.
Yeah? So when I got rid of everything and I said, right, let me start at another level. Who am I? Let me go into different worlds. I went to China, and I went to China with a rat sack. I didn't go with a suit, you know.
Backpack one.
Yeah, proper backpack. I went there with a rat sack. I didn't know one word of Mandarin. I didn't know where I was staying. I didn't know anyone in China. It was all about me in one of the most powerfulest super economies in the world. I learnt about China throughout the years. So it was more about me going into China and saying, right, who am I really? I don't have the guys from Stockholm to back me. I don't have older brothers. I don't have none of that. It's really a time now to see if I am a man of wealth and power within self. And I went there, and within the space of 2 to 3 weeks, I met some of the most powerful men in China in the fashion industry and so on and so forth. That's what I was interested in at the time. And I literally turned things around, and it was amazing. I had a great experience, and I built up and kept relationships in China. And I've done it in different places in the world over and over.
So when you was just in China, like, that's a big step to vote. That's a big step. You're just in China, like you just don't know when you're just in. How was that feel? Because a lot of young people that even be watching and seeing things like this, they're like, wow, like a lot of people are scared to step out their states, let alone to go to China. Like that's a big step. How do you like when you just go off the plane? How are you feeling? Like just there, like there's no, as you said, there's no brothers, there's no like, just in case if I have a fight now. It's just me. There's no like hot form. Like my man, they're like, yo, I've been on a bit of problem. Like, how was that feeling of like, wasn't you like just scared, like lonely? Like, what was happening?
I think everything's in stages. I mean, sometimes we underestimate where we come from. Yeah. Do you know how hard it is to live in Angel Town, as you know? Do you know how hard it is to live in Stockholm Estate?
Yeah, for real.
It's not easy.
It's not easy.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like, once again, if we put ourselves to the test, we have a lot more skills and ability, than we can even give ourselves credits for. But I mean, going to China, when I got off the plane, I felt, to be honest with you, a sense of freedom. It was more freedom, but I was pre-framing myself. I was building myself up to that place where I said, right, do you know what? I'm going to give this a try. But how I conditioned my mind was, no matter what happens, it's going to be a great experience. So I really made up my mind, this is going to be a great experience, good, bad or indifferent. It's a bit like when you live on the ends and so on and so forth. You know, you get to a point where you say, if I'm going to die, I'm going to die. Because you have to come to the realization that this is the lifestyle I live at that time. And I got to that point where I said, no matter what happens in China, I'm going to enjoy the experience, good, bad or indifferent. And I made my mind up, this is going to be the making of another level of my growth. And it was.
A lot of people that flesh on the streets know that your brother was like, is like notorious. If you say it didn't, like Andy, people go, like that's a serious name to mention. From Brixton, from London, from the UK in general. So now there's like a lot of war in the ends between a lot of young people. Like, would you say kind of people say, okay, that didn't that kind of stem from like your brother and them? Or they was like the kings of that kind of lifestyle. They kind of set that lifestyle for certain people. Obviously, I used to look up to people like your brother and that. They was like the local kings. Like every look you wanted to be like those guys. Like we want to be like those. Like we want to be like Andy or Austin. We want to be those guys. I want to grow up to be just like those guys. So what would you say, because that kind of stemmed now to the younger generation, still kind of looking up to those that kind of reputation, that kind of swagger, like local kings, and how do you think we can change that and from the war, because now it's gone to that war in the ends, that kind of attitude has stemmed to that war in the ends. How do you think we can change that? What's your whole perception on that kind of attitude?
That's a good question. I think I've never really spoken about Andy. And concerning Andy and the age group in and around my brother, I would say he was very educated. That was first and foremost. Yeah, he was very strategic. So if you really think about it, the war between the N's and all of that was after he died. It wasn't during the time that he died, because they were strategic about not warring with your people. Was there conflicts in and around people?
No, I'm saying, okay.
Yes, there was conflict, but a lot of people didn't see the work he done behind the scenes. People was going to war and it was stopped. Yeah, there was a lot of problems that was resolved. There was a lot of people that was in financial problems that was helped and fixed. You know, there was a lot of community situations that was put together and empowered people. But you know, once again, there's a poem that I always say, and the poem is, twice I did good, remind me never. Once I did bad, I'm a villain forever. Yeah, and what that means is, you can do something bad once, yeah, and you are the villain. But no matter how many times you do good, no one chooses to see that because it's not headline news. It doesn't fit the profile that you want for that person. So I would say with my brother, did a lot happen? Yes, it was. Yes, it did. But did a lot of good, even more good happen? Definitely. You know, I mean, he was meeting with politicians. A lot of people don't know this. Politicians was coming to him for advice. Yeah. He was going around the world meeting world leaders. A lot of people don't see these things. He wasn't just a local guy. He was not a local guy. He was a guy on another level of business and intelligence. So what derived from that wasn't what he done, it was a concept of what he done. This is where the generation after him came up, because they saw something and they built up a mindset based upon it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah?
Exactly.
Then it went all wrong. Because there was no education behind it. There wasn't no strategic planning behind it. When I used to sit down, even as a 5-6-year-old around my brother and his team, you know, he used to have a team of advisors, he had these soldiers, he had all these, and it was literally hundreds and hundreds of men of different mindsets, behavior and levels. And when I used to sit down, he used to sit there strategically looking at how the world is going to go in the next 25 years. How they're going to be a part of the world in the next 25 years. What's the next up and coming businesses within the next 5 to 10 years? What direction will black people go? What direction will white people go? Everything was strategic. It wasn't an accident. It wasn't thuggerism. Yeah. Even when he used to get me to watch like gangster films. Everyone used to watch films like Scarface and stuff and say, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And he would say, watch it again. And I watched it over and over again. He said, what? Tell me about the film. And I had the same perspective of everyone else. Oh my gosh, he's a G. Yeah. And he'd say, no, he's not a G. He's a crackhead. He's a this, he's a that. So he used to turn around and he used to clearly differentiate who is a thug, to who is a strategic businessman. Then he used to put on other films, and there were some films called The Professor and all of that. And he used to step around and say, look at the intelligence of this, look at the business frame of it. So when everyone was watching it for the violence and whatever, he was more about, look at the business side of it. Then he used to sit me down and make me watch how the politicians acted. Which led back to the G7 and the G8. So it was a lot more strategic and business than people would ever have fathomed or got their head around. So I had no choice throughout my life but to understand that there's a certain mindset and behaviour that had to happen based upon the education that was introduced throughout my life. I had mentors at 25 mentors.
25?
By the age of 14. Spiritual mentors, fitness mentors, business mentors, strategic mentors, all these different mentors from, because that's what he had. So we had a system in place. This is where the greatness came from, in the sense of how we made money very well, how we built up strategic teams very well, and how we lived life on a level that people couldn't even get their heads around very, very well. Now, as I said, going back to where I am now, I'm looking back and I can see the gap between how I got brought up and how the youths are coming up now. And it's my duty to make sure that they grow with strategic thinking and a clear understanding about growth. And I'm not talking about it from a sense of gangsterism or nothing, not under no circumstances. It doesn't need to be that way. We grew up that way because my brother was probably the second generation in England, so they had a way of going through life. But I've evolved now. I've evolved away from my brother. I understand business from another level now. He's passed. So it's my job and my duty once again to make sure that I grow and I learn things that exceeded him from before. If you don't exceed the people from before you, then what are you doing?
Definitely.
So that's what's happened. I've exceeded that and I've evolved to another level. And it's my duty and my goal to make sure that my people coming up behind me now are strategically putting themselves in place for another level of greatness.
So who do you expect to look up to now?
Brilliant question. Once again, I have different mentors in different areas. So I'm not going to go to my spiritual mentor about business. So I've got my business mentors who I still seek out throughout the world. I go all around the world. If it takes for me to find out how does that billionaire become a billionaire, I'm going to find him. Because it's not about the money that he's got, it's the mindset. It's the rituals, what he has. It's the behaviors, everything about it. That's what I tap into. So it really depends where I am in my life at that time, and I'll seek people accordingly. But the strangest thing is when I come back to my community, that's where I find some of my best mentors. It's some of the youths, they don't even know that they're teaching me, because there's nothing like a youth coming up that's got sheer passion. It's a passion that I saw. It's like a diamond that is still rough, but it's still a diamond. So a lot of the times, a lot of the youths around me and a lot of the youths coming up, they don't know that I'm studying them and I'm learning from them again. So really, my mentors are all around me.
So tell me, why do you think the youths of today don't believe themselves?
I think the question would have to be broken up into a number of different pieces, and there's no way we could cover all of that in one interview. But I believe, well, let's go for a few of them, okay? When you use the word belief and self.
Yeah.
You have to identify what is self. Yeah? Because you can't talk about belief and not talk about self, because they're two separate entities. Yeah? You have to have a belief system, right? So then you have to ask yourself, what is your belief system? Yeah? Then once you turn around and you work out what your belief system is, then you have to now identify what is self. Is self spirit? Is self a belief system? Is self a concept? Then how do you look at self? What should self be? And a lot of the youths are not taught this science. So let me give a prime example, so I'm not talking like mental gymnastics, yeah? Okay, first and foremost, we're going to go into science, right? And I know it's kind of strange, how can we talking about science here? But we have to talk about science, right? Now, when we all went to school, we used to learn atoms and all of those kind of things in science, okay? We're all made out of atoms, right? So, our cars are made out of atoms, the table's made out of atoms, your phone's made out of atoms, our clothes are made out of atoms, and we are made out of atoms. Inside of an atom is protons, neutrons, electrons, quarks, photons, it goes on forever. But let's only talk about 3 of those, and then we can get an idea where we're going wrong for a start, okay? Right, so, when you're a proton, that's a positive state. The lights are on, yeah? When you're an electron, that's a negative state. The lights are off. Yeah? When you're a neutron, you're in between. You can sway either way. It's like a door opening, right? So if I don't know if you remember when you used to be at school, you had 2 magnets. You put the magnets together and they pulled it together. That's either 2 protons coming together or 2 electrons coming together. You turn the magnet around, do you remember what happens? It repels each other. That's when a proton and an electron is trying to, well, they don't try to connect, they avoid each other. Yeah? So now why do I say this? Because when you're in a proton state, you're in a positive state. Yeah? Positive things happen in your life. You meet other positive people. Yeah? When you're in an electron state, the lights are off. You're in a negative place. You meet other negative people. You can't be in a negative place and meet positive people. It scientifically doesn't work. Do you understand what I'm saying? Have you ever got into a room before and the lights on and off at the same time? It's impossible, right? So can you be around a negative person and remain positive? It can't happen. That's why they say misery loves company.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's a science. And these youths are not learning science on another level. So now the goal, now as soon as you turn around and talk about self, now and you say a proton self, you have to now say, how do I become into a proton zone? Yeah? What kind of music are you listening to? Because think about it, if your music is changing the way that you feel, then it puts you in a negative place or a positive place. So what music is someone listening to daily? Yeah? When someone is having an argument, how does it make you feel? When someone's telling you about a mix-up, how does it make you feel? This is the difference, this is the fine difference between successful people and people that are not successful, is the state that they're in. This is a part of self. Remember I said I can break down self into so many different areas, and we can't do it all at once. Okay? Now, let me tell you the biggest, I say what the oldest has done, the older generation above me as well. The biggest problem and the biggest myth that the older generation has passed down to the youths. Do you know what that is?
What's that? Please tell me why it's...
Jewelry, cars, and the mindset when it comes to women. I'm going to tell you the reason why. This is the difference. Now listen to me clearly here. This is very important, yeah? This is the difference between successful people and people that will never truly be successful when it comes to happiness and true riches. When a roadman makes money and he goes to buy jewelry, what area does he go to?
Was it, you know, like Covent Garden kind of areas there?
Hatton Gardens.
Hatton Gardens,
yeah? And he says, buy me the biggest ring. Yeah? I want the biggest ring, I want the nicest change, I want as much diamonds as possible. Now, let's go back to the science. Let's go back to the science here. Let's say if the diamonds are electrons, it comes from a mountain, yeah, where people's been killed for it. And now, he puts that diamonds around his neck. He put the diamonds on his ring. on his fingers. Sorry, yeah. What happens?
So that's carrying negativity. You're saying
Carries negativity.
So now you draw more negativity.
The negativity you're bringing into your world, you can't even get your head around.
That's serious. That's serious.
Millions of people's probably died over the course of time for that particular mountain.
That's serious.
There's a lot of blood that's all around those diamonds. And now you've strangled it around your neck, and you've strangled it on your fingers. Yeah.
Serious.
And people wonder why they can't grow.
Serious.
They were making money until they got the diamonds. All of a sudden they're in war. They're in war. People's trying to rob them. Police all of a sudden just find out who they are. Do you remember in the film American Gangster?
Yeah.
What happened when you put on the fur coat?
Look at the crazy with it. Surveillance come, everything that's happening with flashing. And he said that, he said, don't get a jacket, don't buy nothing.
In films like Goodfellas, when they started to make money, they started to buy all the big cars and that. What happened?
That's what happened, got hot again, straight away. Negativity.
What happens with most roadmen when they turn around and they buy their diamonds and all of that?
Same thing, there's negativity. All negative, you get a negative attention.
Exactly. Because the frequency of what you introduce into your life. Now, when a successful rich person goes to buy diamonds, first of all, they don't go to Hatton Gardens. Yeah,
Right.
They go to one of the main stores, and do you know they ask first thing before how nice it is? They say, "Let me see the certificate of what mountains it came from."
Right.
The money is not in the diamonds. The money's in the certificate, because the wealth is in the certificate.
Alright.
I don't wear diamonds. Yeah. This is why when we was going back before, we was talking about why did I give up everything? Because I understand the concept. I understand the concept. So this is number one. People have to turn around and work out what state they choose to be in. Do you want to be in an electron state? Do you want to be in a neutron state? Or do you want to be in a proton state? Now the neutron state can sway either way. This is when you see people are easy to be led left or to the right. Okay? So that's one. Let's put that aside. I'm going to give you one more. Right. When we were born, I'm going to use the same concept as a diamond, okay? When we were born, would you be comfortable if I said we came from God? Would you be comfortable if I said that, yeah? Okay, so we came from somewhere good, yeah? But when you see children, you see pureness in children. So it obviously came from somewhere pure, okay? So when we were born, we were pure, beautiful diamonds, flawless. You don't see a flaw in a child. You just see love and greatness, okay? And then what happened was, so we can happily say that we were diamonds, when we was young, pure diamonds, nothing wrong with it, just lovable, okay? And then when we started to grow up, people started to introduce what I call shit, on the diamond. You're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're too fat, you're too ugly, you'll never be great, you'll never be good, you'll never be all of these things. So the shit smeared all over the diamond, So the diamond is who we really are, the shit is now who we think we are. Because we've been told that over and over again, you are full of shit, So we start to believe we are the shit. So then what we do, because we're having a conversation in our heads all the time that we are the shit, and I'm not saying in a good sense where I'm the shit, I'm talking about literally I'm shit, This is the conversation we're having in our minds, okay? So now what we do, because I don't want you to see that I'm the shit, what do? I sprinkle all this glittery stuff over the shit. And the glittery stuff represents diamonds, represents how I dress, represents the things that I tell you. I'm a top boy, bro, and this and that and rare. Because the conversation I'm having in my mind is that I'm shit. But what I need to sell you now is sprinkly, glittery stuff, because that's who I want the world to be, want to think about me. So diamond is who we really are, but we don't recognize it after a while. The shit is who we think we are, because we've been told that over and over again. And the sprinkles is what we tell the world, because we don't want them to see the shit. So it's your goal, it's your duty once again, is to not add more sprinkles to the shit. Your goal is to wipe the shit off and get back to the place of the diamond.
Okay.
And in order to get back to the place of the diamond, you have to get rid of all of the sprinkles for a start, because the sprinkles are a lie. Hence me turning around and I gave up everything. And I strategically brought myself back to a place of being a diamond.
Back to the, you sort of for real, so really You just wipe to the shit. That's what they're saying. So
Wipe away the shit.
where think that oh no, you're giving away the shit.
Yeah.
we so love the shit that we say, well, you gave away, you do it.
No, what it is, you love the sprinkly stuff. But the sprinkly stuff by default has to go with the shit. Because guess what? If you got a pure diamond, you don't need glitter.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the diamond shines brighter than glitter. So how many very, very true, how much billionaires do you see wearing all the diamonds and all of that? Because they understand this concept.
Yeah.
They understand the concept of protons, neutrons, electrons. It's a science. You see when they talk about Obeah man, what's another name for Obeah man?
What's the other name for that? They got loads of different names for that. Voodoo, they've got a bag of different names.
One of the names that they use is a science man.
Science man as well. Yeah,
right.
Science man.
Why do you understand that? Why is it about science? Now I can break it down to that level to do with even spirituality as well. Because when you turn around and you talk about a science man, what is it that he knows about science that no one else knows?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah? He knows about, for example, and once again, this is going back to why youths don't know themselves. Because this goes back to Egyptian times. There's a science to this. And if you don't know this, then how can you know self?
Exactly.
Yeah? So how many days is there in an average month? Or in a monthly period? There's 28 days in a month. Why? Because the moon goes around the earth every 28 days. Now I'm not saying this for the sake of it. There ain't no 31 days, there ain't no 30 days, there's only 28 days. How do we know this? Because it breaks up into 4 sevens. A new moon, 7 days. First quarter, 7 days. Last quarter, 7 days. Full moon, 7 days. 4 sevens, 28. Yeah, we can get into why the government and all that done that another time. Yeah, it's more about giving you the gems now to move forward. Now, the moon goes around the earth every 28 days. Okay, this is what science men know. When the moon is at certain quarters, the moon changes the frequency of the planet. Yeah, so when you talk about a woman's cycle, do you know what a woman's cycled around? The moon is only 28 days, as I said to you before, in a month. Okay. Because the moon only goes around the earth every 28 days. There ain't no 31 days, none of that. That's all government stuff. Yeah. But that's a conversation for a whole different time. Now, when the moon goes around the earth every 28 days, the mood of the moon controls the mood of the earth. Everything's atoms, everything's protons, everything's neutrons. Yeah? And it's so important to understand this. I can't state how important it is. I can tell you about money. I can tell you about business. But the blueprint of what I'm going to tell you is going to run out and you're back to square one. You have to understand the science to how this works. Yeah? Now, when the moon goes round, it aligns with how the oceans flow. It even aligns with a woman's cycle. That's why they say a woman's cycle. A cycle of what? It's a cycle of the moon. So if they was honest and they kept it every 28 days, a woman would come on, barring pregnancy and so on and so forth, on the button every single day of the month.
Because they've changed it, because they've added
the 2 days and 3 days and whatever. She moves back and forth. But she always roughly knows I'm going to be on either between the 15th and the 17th or whatever, because it's a cycle of the moon. Now, to understand self, you need to understand how it works. New moon, yeah? Business and successful people do business and plan times of new moon. It's fresh, just like a woman's cycle, yeah? First quarter, yeah, is fertile. It's time to do business. Last quarter, the woman's coming on, yeah? So, not the best time, yeah? Full moon, she's on. Do not play with her. Yeah, don't play with her mood, and you can't insert yourself in her because she's on her cycle. It's the same thing. So successful people do not do business times a full moon. Why do you think the government used to make films and all of that about werewolves and stuff and a certain mood of people times a full moon? Now the werewolf side of it physically is not true, but the spiritual side of the science is very true. In order to know self, you need to know the science. That's what I'm saying. Now then, when you break down that level of it, then there's stuff like frequencies of colours. Every colour has a frequency. So a lot of people don't know their frequency colours. But when you wear certain frequencies of colours, it changes the stakes of the games. Science men know this. Yeah? You'll see some news reporters that are part of this intelligence. You'll see them wearing a nice black suit and all of a sudden they've got orange socks on. You think, why they got orange socks on? Or you see a businessman, he just looks like he can't dress. It's not about dressing for them, it's about frequencies. What frequency colours is being worn. These are the things that I had to be taught from a young age to understand how this game really works. Then if you want to go even deeper, you've got angels that govern the days. Then you've got angels that govern the hours. So now there's old time sayings where people say, mind how you fix your face because it may stay like that.
Yeah.
But what they was really saying is, mind what frequency you're in, because each angel governs and acts according to your frequency. So you may turn around and say, I hate that person. And if it's an angel of war that's in that time of when you say that, then all of a sudden you start to cast a spell on that person. This is where the word spell. Now, spell and spelling is all related because you spell out a word. So when you're watching them little silly TV programs like Charmed ones and all those kind of things, you think it's foolishness, but they're teaching the science in small details. All these successful people know that. They know what colours to wear. Now let's put it all together. They know what colours to wear. They know what time of the moon they should be doing certain things. They know what angels are coming around at these times. So this game ain't just about English and maths. This game is a lot deeper than English and maths. This is a whole new level of self.
Differently. So how do you think, with all that said, how do you think we can progress as a community as well? As being individuals, how do we also progress as a community as well? Because our community is it's broken.
It's broken, you're right.
How do we progress as a community?
Once again, it's a very complex question, but it's doable. So once again, you're always going to have bad people in the community, yeah? And I'm glad that you use the word community, because words, once again, are related just like we are. You have a brother, you have a father, you have a sister, you have a mother. Yeah? Words also have brothers, sisters, cousins, mother. So when you turn around and you use the word ghetto, you have to instantly use its cousin, poverty. Yeah? And if you're using the word poverty, you may at some point have to turn around and use the word frustration. Frustration leads to arguments, arguments leads to war, war leads to killing. So based upon the words that we use, changes the frequency and how we look at our peoples. Yeah? So if you turn around and say nigger, for example, this is why a lot of people understand the word nigger. Yeah? But when you use nigger from a certain frequency, it changes your DNA frequency. Yeah? So when you start to use certain words, the way you look at people change instantly. So if I turn around and say community, that by default I have to say connection. By default, by connection, I'm going to say love. I'm going to say caring. I'm going to say understanding. So the first thing we have to do is identify what words we use.
Okay.
Yeah? Secondly, we have to turn around, and I normally, when I work with people and they come from a certain mindset, I do what they call a life board. Yes, my life board is like my claim to fame that makes me happy. Yeah, that people hire me in for, big companies, small companies. Now a life board, you got a business board and you got a life board. The business board, the life board breaks down every single section of your life, your legacy, your core values, your lifestyle, friends and associates, investments, and so on and so forth. When you break that down, it starts to identify your ideal life. Okay? Now, I'll put it to you like this. So I'm going to give you one section of it. This is what I would say to someone. Like, let's say a youth coming up, or whoever. Okay? So we're going to use legacy, right? So as one section of the life board. Now, if I said to you, God forbid you die tomorrow, yeah? And you had to write down what you wanted people to say about you. And you had to read it back out to 100 people. What would you want them to say about you?
That says a lot though. Obviously a lot of people want them to say good things.
Exactly.
But that's not really that's
Exactly.
not realistic at the same time. If you're gonna do that,
Exactly. It makes you look at yourself.
yeah, it's a reality check.
Yeah, it's a reality check.
Yeah.
So guess what? Straight away, when I done my life board on myself, yeah, I came to a very quick conclusion. Yeah, Kevin Bennett, what would I like them to say about me? I want them to say, Kevin, he helped, he built, he empowered people, he loved these people, he cared about his people. Because that's what it's about. Because if you're dying, God forbid, and you're on your last final moments, yeah, you don't care about what cars you got. It's irrelevant.
Yeah,
you don't care about the size of your house because you're confined to a bed.
Exactly.
Yeah. So now it's about your legacy. What did you leave and give to the world? Yeah. So if you're talking about building and helping our people, they have to turn around and think about what they would like their ideal legacy to be. Once you start to look at your legacy, then instantly by default you have to change the way that you look at people. So now when I'm walking down the road, I don't see an enemy in one of my black brothers, for example. He may look at me in a funny way, and I break his pattern because I study stuff like NLP and so on and so forth, neuro-linguistics programming. One of the things I had to learn. Yeah. So when I turn around, I break his pattern. So he may be looking at me thinking war, until I turn around and say, how you doing, brother? Have a really good day.
Wow.
How can you be angry after that?
Can't be angry after that. No way.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
It's no way.
Yeah. How can you be angry after that?
Yeah, for real.
So it's about breaking people's pattern. Now that's one side of it. Another side of it is looking at one of the biggest killers, probably the biggest killer on this planet is cancer. Okay? Now a doctor will turn around and say, in order to get rid of this cancer, we have to separate it from the body. Yeah, you may do some form of laser surgery or whatever it may be, yeah, or you may actually cut it out, right? Now, sometimes we have to cut out the good people from the bad people. Grow the good people over there, multiply the good people, and sometimes you've got to just leave the bad people to it because they don't want to change, and you can't change them. 33.3% of people will like you no matter what you do. 33.3% of people will hate you no matter what you do. And 33.3% of people are unsure. So between the other 33.3% and the ones that are unsure, that's the ones you work with. Some people are going to watch this of me and they'll say, he's an idiot. And I don't mind because I've come to that acceptance a long time ago. I don't care what people think about me. Under no conditions whatsoever. I don't care. Because when I'm up in the mountains and I'm doing my mountaineering and I'm climbing the mountains and so on and so forth, yeah? Or I'm in Dubai, or I'm in this country, I'm in that country. It's irrelevant what people think because I'm living my journey.
Exactly.
So it's irrelevant how people think about me, but what is important to me is what I leave behind for the people that are interested. That's what matters. And if people can live that way, then our community starts to come together. So we have to now turn around and look at the way that we want to be looked at in a good light, and how we can help our people.
So tell me now, what are you up to now? What's happening now in your world? What's happening? What's new?
At this precise time, I'm definitely I'm growing and I'm meeting new people and I'm getting new insights into the world and stuff. So I've got like a 15-year. I've got different plans, but I've got a 15-year plan, God willing, for my people. Right. And when I'm talking about my people, it's not even a black thing. It's just people who are in a place that are stuck and they don't know why they're stuck because they've been strategically compressed and suppressed. You know, so I really want to start at home, you know, and as I said, it's not a black thing, it's a white thing, it's an Asian thing, it's my people in general, yeah? Then away from that, what I want to do is make it more global. So I've got it written down, but what I'm going to do is I'll read some of it out to you, okay? Yeah. So it's a 15-year plan that I've got. So far, like I've helped 7,000 to 8,000 people on a direct connection over the last 7 years or so. But what I want to do now within the next 15 years is, number one, open up schools in poor countries. Yeah, well, no particular order, but open up schools in poor countries. That's what I want to raise my next set of money for. It's not about me. I will probably buy a nice car again, but I don't drive nice cars in England or anything like that. Yeah, because what's the point? I have such a new richness instead of what riches I can wear and what riches I can drive. Yeah, so I want to open up schools in poor countries worldwide. Secondly, I want to build a support system for single mothers. Yeah. Number 3 is I want to help our boys become men, but from another level. Number 4 is to build a business school for our young future leaders. The school is only for leaders. It's only for leaders. I don't care if the school only has 9 members in there. It's only for leaders. So we can teach them the right things from core values right up until the science of the universe. It's an elite school for leaders. Okay, I don't care if it's 9, I don't care if it's 5, but it's for leaders only. Number 5, I want to challenge the local and main leaders, government and community leaders, to make sure that they're representing some of our people right. The rest of the people, but the fight is to get their birth certificate back. Because the birth certificate is not a birth certificate. The birth certificate is a contract. I want the contract back for our people.
Wow, that's a big move.
This is a big move. You get killed for this. Number 6, I want to create a trust fund for our people that's fallen under the poverty line. So that means, you know, our mums and our aunties and just some of our people we see, and they can't even, in this day and age, 2014, 15 and so on and so forth, they can't even, they have to go to food banks. Our people should never be going to food banks. So I want to build a trust fund up that it keeps them above the poverty line. Yeah?
That's big.
Right. Number 7 is to invest land and properties globally to relocate our new up and coming leaders. Because if we can get a new leader that we've trained up to go to China, to go to Germany, to go to Dubai, to go to Russia, and they're representing us, now we're expanding.
Now expanding, definitely. Building empires, that's good.
Right. Number 8, I want to build a new culture that benefits boys, girls, and men, women, and so on and so forth. And the reason why I say that is because one of the things I really don't like is culture. Now, a lot of people say, what do you mean you don't like culture? You don't like African culture, you don't like Jamaican culture? Not necessarily, no. I like some things in the culture, but most things I don't like. Because if you think about the whole concept of culture, okay? Once upon a time, someone was sitting around a rock, a tree, a brick, I don't know, a stone, 100 years ago, 1,000 years ago, I don't know, yeah? And they sat down and they built a culture based upon their belief system at that time and how they felt about the situation. So some women don't have the same rights as men. Some boys are seen as just boys. You're a small boy, know your place. And I'm not saying the boy doesn't know his place, shouldn't know his place, but he should be taught greatness. And number 9 is create an industry that will also create jobs independently from government. Number 10, which is the final one, is to build an investment center. So much guys has got money, where do they invest it?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah? So that's the 10 that I've got planned for the next 15 years. And that's what I'm working towards now. So my goal and my concept and my legacy is 3 things. Help my people, build my people, empower my people. Now, I'm just like everyone else. I manage my state, but I can get rolled. Do you understand what I'm saying? And I will protect myself at all times. I'm still not an idiot. I still have soldiers around me. Do you understand what I'm saying? But my interest is happiness and growth of our people. But we will protect ourselves. But we will never initiate something.
Daddy did it, and you're gonna do the same. You already know how hard life can be. So much pain and misery. Why so much pain?
www.pdcent.com